Welcome back to Coffee with the Authors. I'm glad you're here. This week I'm on my own because I'm going to be talking about the structure of The Running Dream, a book that I wrote several years ago that has gained a broad popularity. It's an emotional book, and partly that's the subject matter. The main character of the book, Jessica, is a star runner, and she tragically loses her leg in a terrible accident, and she feels like her life is over. So it was a heart-wrenching book to write. I am a runner. I've run my whole life, and the thought of not being able to run was as emotionally kind of devastating to me. So I could really feel kind of the angst of that. There was so much research involved in this book, and it was actually a book that I didn't want to write when I first got the idea for it, because it just seems so overwhelming, the amount of things I would have to learn and get to like master before I could write this authentically. So Jessica's in this terrible accident on the way back from a track meet, and she lives to run. It's one of those things that is just in her heart. It's so important to her. And in this accident, her foot is crushed, and they wind up having to amputate her leg below the knee. And it is such a devastating thing for her, because this is like her life. This is what she loves to do. So the story itself is pretty emotional. And the idea for me behind the story was in part coming back into life after feeling like your life is over. But the other part of it was the inclusivity of a classmate of Jessica's who she had never spoken with, had never really even acknowledged, because Jessica's a star runner and she is a popular girl. And this other girl, Rosa, has cerebral palsy, and she sits at the special needs table. And so it's like Jessica doesn't feel like they have anything in common. So the idea behind Jessica getting to know Rosa, and then the friendship that develops from them, was also very emotional to me, and super important. So you've got this book that to me was a pretty emotional undertaking. But what I want to talk about today is not, the book itself, but about the hidden structure within the book. This is something like a secret something that you can start to look at as ways to increase the effect that your story has on your readers without them even knowing that it's there. So when I do writing workshops and I point this out to people who have read The Running Dream, they're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize that. And yet it affected them. So I'm going to start by talking about the power of using short sentences or fragments. And at the beginning of this story, basically on page 1, Jessica is in the hospital. She has come to after having been under anesthesia, and she's coming to the realization that she has lost her leg. Okay, so the doctor, he pulls the covers off my lap, and I find myself face to face with the truth. Okay, so that's a full sentence. But then we go into fragments. My right leg has no foot. Okay, well, that's a sentence. No ankle, that's a fragment. No shin, that's a fragment. What that does is it gives that sense of panic. So it's not just, you don't have to say, I'm panicking from seeing these things that are happening to me. Jessica doesn't need to say that. We feel it. We feel it in the, oh my gosh, I can't catch my breath. You can't even think in complete sentences. This is all something that's happening, boom, boom, boom. And there's another example I have here later in the book. She has started to become addicted to the painkillers that they give you after a major surgery like this. And her parents are trying to wean her off of the pain meds. I can't get to sleep. I'm nauseous, shaky, sweaty one minute, goosebumpy the next. She has a little conversation with her parents, and her mother goes off and comes back with Tylenol. It does nothing for the pain, or the sweats or chills. I feel abandoned, angry, raw. So this structure helps to convey the way that Jessica is feeling. Each one of those fragments has its own line. So you move down the page, there's white space. You get that feeling of panic. You get that feeling of pain. But you don't really realize it when you're reading the story. It just becomes part of the whole flow of the emotion into your system. The other thing that having the fragments did was it gives you this breathless feeling at the beginning of the book. But as Jessica comes to grips with her situation, you're reading along in the book and the sentences get longer. There are fewer fragments. The paragraphs get longer. It's like the structure of the book allows for a relaxation so that you're not like constantly trying to catch your breath over what's happened to this character. So it goes from those staccato kind of sentences and structure to a more of a flowing, coming back into life. So it's not something that's really obvious when you're reading it, but the reader gets kind of a sense of more relaxation as you move forward in the story and as Jessica goes through her recovery. The other thing that I did in this book was I broke it into 5 sections. Lots of times a book is broken into sections. That can be like different time frames. I mean, there's a lot of different structural things you can do with your story. But in this case, I broke it into 5 sections. And those 5 sections are finish line. So remember, she's a runner. This has to do with running. There's finish line, headwind, straightaway, adjusting the blocks, and starting line. This is a race run backwards. So the first section is finish line because she feels like her life is over. It's done. Everything everything that was important to her is lost to her now. So yeah, finish line. The headwind is the second section. It's like you're battling against all the forces that are trying to keep you down. Straightaway, adjusting the blocks, and starting line. The whole theme of this book is that sometimes life will throw really hard things at you, and you feel like your life is over, the important things that you loved are gone. You feel like that's the finish line. But really, the finish line in a race like the 400 that Jessica runs doubles as a starting line. And so you can change your perspective on where you are in life based on the thought of running a race. And just because you've crossed that finish line doesn't mean that that's the end of your race. That's actually, that line can signify a fresh start in life. So, so you have these 5. It's a race run backwards, where in the end she realizes this is her new starting line, but it also represents the 5 stages of grief. So there are structural things that you can do in your book which are hidden and or at least not overt, that a lot of people will just not even realize are there, but it will affect them on an emotional level, and it'll be part of why they love your book. So think about ways that you can put some hidden structure in your work, because it really can give a depth to what it is you're creating. And even if you're the only one that really knows it's there, it doesn't matter. It has this kind of subliminal effect on your reader, and it will serve its purpose. So, okay, I hope you enjoyed this little breakdown of the structure of the running dream. Thanks for joining me. Please give us a thumbs up, and remember, dream big, work hard, don't give up, and I'll see you next time.